Hey guys, welcome to the holiday episode of Chief Concerns, the very first true debate style show with former Chiefs players debating the current team. We're here with our host, former tight end Jason Dunn and cornerback Eric Warfield. Guys, what are you guys doing for the holidays?
Staying here at the house, Utah cheer.
More quarantine?
On the quarantine, yeah. So I don't know. Right now, man, in Kentucky, man, it's snowing. I'm looking outside the window right now. It's snowing. So, we got a white Christmas. So that's a good thing. But, yeah, we ain't going out the door. Shit, that monster's out there. So we ain't fooling with the COVID. We ain't COVIDing out of here. No, sir. No, sir.
I'll be at my brother's house, man. We usually do here in Dallas. We just hang out at either my brother's house or my sister's house. And my mom comes down. So we have a nice little family gathering. It's just one of those times of the year, just like Thanksgiving, to where you enjoy everything you see on the table, but yet you find a hard way of losing it after that. So I put on that not even quarantine. I gotta avoid the quarantine 15 plus the holiday table 15. So there's a whole lot of food that's gonna be going on.
Yeah, and we got with football on no Thursday night football. We got the Christmas Day football between the Vikings and Saints. So I'm sure that's gonna be fun to watch. Just like how it is watching football on Thanksgiving. You got some Christmas football this year.
That's true. I like how they have the sports lined up for entertainment throughout the day. So it gives you something to do. It's hard to find. I know at my households, we usually have some sort of games going on all day. Spades. Some sort of card game, 5 crowns, phase 10 or something, to where like the family's involved, but to also have those sports going on all day, that's good to keep everybody entertained. So
yeah, and get some sound in the background too. I know our house, we have the games on, and then we'll have Christmas music on the background too. So it's just like nonstop sound. So there's no.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do either of you guys remember playing on Christmas? I mean, is that a thing? As fans, we watch the games. We're like, oh man, it's great Christmas football. But you guys have families and lives too. So I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things that it was kind of hard to play on Christmas weekend. Do you guys ever remember that?
I mean, I don't vividly remember. I think I recall a time or two to where we had games, and it depends on where you sit as a team. Like if you're going, if your chances of making the playoffs. And you have a game that week of Christmas Day, yeah, I mean, you're pumped for it. You're looking forward to the game, but also the festivities that come with the holiday. But if it's just a game that's at the end of the season and your season's over with, man, you just looking to get it over with. As sad as that sounds, yeah, I know in a lot of situations, a lot of those guys already have the U-Haul packed up and ready to move on back to where they came from after the game's over with.
Yeah, I just never. I always tell people this, that holidays never really pertain to us, because we'd always be at practice or the game. We'd get like half a day off, but we'd be there. We'd be at the facility, and so it was almost like, okay, Thanksgiving, get half a day, go over here and do this. But I always remember, like, Christmas and New Year's. It was always like that weird time, because it was just like everybody else was doing their thing and we was doing our thing. So part of it is our entertainment for everybody else was like our job and our duty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, if you think about it, we talk about this just in a team setting. That's half your family right there. I mean, you're seeing these guys all the time anyway, every single day. So that's part of like, hey, Merry Christmas, and you do the little things, little skits. In the meetings, you remember we used to do like little skits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who was that came in with the little Speedo? Jared Allen. You remember Jared Allen came in with his
always a character.
So, little things that you try to keep, at least guys engaged, kind of in the season of the Yuletide and stuff like that with Christmas. But a lot of it was just. That was part of home for us at the facility.
Yeah. It's just one of those things like, certain people in my family, like when I worked in news, I had to work Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's just one of those things like you're working your shift. It's like, shoot, man, like oh, I want to be at home with my family, but just the way, whatever profession you go into, certain things, and you guys happen to be entertainment for a lot of people on those special holidays. So, thinking about that, like I'm sure these guys want to see their families and stuff during but of course, like Eric said, if you're not in the playoff hunt, that's when you're waiting for that game to be over. But if you are in the playoff hunt, you're probably not even thinking about going home and the festivities and stuff.
Hey, boy, look, the kids want Christmas presents, right? Hey, listen. Hey, you want that new bike that you've been asking Daddy for? Asking Daddy for? Hey, Papa will be back, all right? Just know what you're doing out there. So, yeah.
Now, was that one thing that was kind of built in everyone's contracts, or was that something you had to add in, like the playoff bonuses? Because I know some players, they get extra, they get more money if they just make the playoffs. Is that something that your agents have to build into your contracts, or is that something that's automatically in contract?
Oh, you automatically get a game check if you make the playoffs. That's everybody. And that game, right. I think that playoff check is the same for everybody. Now, your checks during the season is going to be completely different than everybody else's on a weekly basis, depending on what your contract is. So it's nice to have that little. I don't want to call it little, but that playoff check. But it doesn't amount to what you get during the season, though.
Okay.
So you could tell who was making the big money. So put on better little check. Is this what everybody else is getting? Like, oh Lord. He's looking at it like a little stocking stuffer. That's what it was. Hey, look, I was trying to get to the playoffs to get my basement done. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, man, let's go.
Yeah, but that's how you look at it, though. It's added bonus money.
It is.
I get the playoffs. I don't have to spend this money on my account. Hey, playoffs pay for that.
That's right. Yeah. So that's good. But guys, you know what? And kind of going back to the question, you can have incentives. Of course, just making the playoffs like performance based, whatever, into the contract. But usually, like he said, everybody gets the same check. In little checks.
Little checks.
I hate I said it that way, man. But considering what you get paid throughout the season, it'll be way smaller.
Right. Down, the deeper you go, the checks go up. So that's
true.
The thing about it. Yeah. So.
Okay, so they make an added incentive to go to the next round. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
I think it's just the same way with the Pro Bowl. You get a check to go play in the Pro Bowl game.
Yep, sure do.
Is that still a thing that they still do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's true. They got.
I know they're not having a Pro Bowl game this year, but yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that because the winners get paid more than the losing team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, look, you had Hawaii on one end, right? And then you had to pay those guys. Other than that, them guys wouldn't come out there, man, for them checks like that. It was too much house. So,
With the reserves, let's say, for example, Trent Green gets to the Pro Bowl, but he doesn't want to go to the game for whatever reason. The reserve, so let's say Billy Volek goes in for him in the Pro Bowl. Would he get paid the same as a Trent Green would, or no?
I think that check is the same, isn't it?
Yeah, you mean if you said if he opts out, not playing?
Let's say Trent Green had to get surgery after the season was over and he couldn't go to the Pro Bowl. Does he still get paid? And
no. Shoot, you don't get paid unless you play.
The reserve guy who takes over and gets his check.
Yeah, he sure do. That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Trent, look, you on the operating table, you ain't getting paid for that. You didn't do no work. Because if he got paid, then I need to call see what my check is then.
Interesting. All right, so let's move into the kind of talk about what happened last weekend. We're talking about the playoffs. Now we're getting to the part of the season where we're talking about seeding. But let's talk about what happened on Sunday. The Chiefs won another nail biter, making it 6 games in a row of winning a game by 6 points or less, which is causing me to go gray a little earlier. I'm getting a little gray on the sides. And just, a lot of people, a lot of the analysts and experts are, I guess, taking that as a kind of a negative thing and saying, oh, you see, you can't trust these Chiefs. They're not closing out these games. They're not putting teams away. And this is something we've kind of talked about on the show. But what was your kind of takeaway from this game on Sunday and just kind of the overall takeaway from narrowly winning these games?
Jason, go ahead, Jason.
So, the way I'm looking at it, I don't really look at them as nail biters. I'm really believing that they actually have a team beat handily. And so part of the problem is what I was talking about before, is the 4-minute offense, right? It's eating up the clock. And so that's the issue for them, because now you're asking the guy to either run the ball, which we got a decent running game, but we still need that guy to actually get into like that big boy ball, running behind your pass, just getting chunks, getting first downs, eat up the clock, and moving forward. And so a couple of series, they stalled out and they didn't do it. They was trying to, and they gave a great effort at it. But I seen when they came back to other series, they had to go back to what they knew. And it's so crazy to me because they are just so good at passing the football that just getting the ball out on the perimeter is their running game. And so that's how they out-leverage the defense is, let's just throw a quick little screen, or let's, shovel pass or something that we do with motion. And that it's so creative just how they get those things going. But I think, to me, I don't really see it as a nail biter as much, because I know that joke when Mahomes come in, it ain't no joke. I don't fear that at all. We have one of the best teams of all times just going in and just scoring on a team. And 2-minute offense, that's the guy you want. So I don't really worry about that as much. I don't think it's a nail biter to me, at least in my opinion, it's not. So, but I think the 4-minute offense is a problem for us.
Yeah.
Eric?
I agree with Jason. Like, I agree with everything he just said. And it's even at times to where I feel like our offense feel like they're unstoppable. And it's almost like we go out there I won't say we, but Patrick goes out there at times. I hate the whole reference of Golden State, but they just, it fits so well for what I see. And it's like when Curry shoots a three, we automatically look at, okay, he's going to make this. And if he doesn't, he's going to make 10 more after that. And so it's almost the same way, like when Patrick throws the ball, we're like, clutching, oh, he's going to make this throw. It's going to be a phenomenal catch. And if it's incomplete or if it's a punt, we look forward to the next, because we know that they can't be stopped. And it's at the points where like that I don't want to call it arrogance or cockiness, but that confidence is just so abundant to the point where he had the ball going left in the game and he kind of fumbled it. And I saw I think he was trying to make another left-handed pass. And I think that's when he fumbled the ball. And I think the commentator was like, well, he fumbles it right there. And I'm looking and I see the receiver as he's running. He's trying to make another left-handed pass, and it just so happens that it didn't work. And so that just shows you where he's at mentally, because he's just so much more confident than everybody else is out on the field. So where his playmaking ability and his weapons out there, they're going to cash in when they need to cash in. And so that's kind of how I feel like our game is when we play. Yeah, every drive is not going to be successful. Every red zone attempt is not going to be, come out with 6 points. But when we need them to get points on the board, they can get it. And I think that they feel like that if they are stopped, give us 5 seconds, we're going to score. Give us a minute, we're going to put up 3 touchdowns. And it's hard to knock that when they've just continued to do so every week. Even at this point of the season, you can't expose your playbook to everything that you are. We got to have some of this stuff hidden in this little compartment back here for those teams that are to come, that are in the playoffs, and for whoever we have to play in the Super Bowl. Granted, we get there. I don't want to jump the gun. So you don't want to expose your playbook to everything that you are. But so far, I think the league and everybody else knows who we are as an offense. Even though we're unstoppable, everybody knows who we are. And like JD said, our running game now has become a part of short passes. We do have Clyde hurt. Heck, we got a guy that could have been named the MVP in the Super Bowl last year that's still backing up Le'Veon. So we still have a good running back core with Le'Veon and Darrell Williams. And heck, if it came down to it, I'd be confident if they threw Sherman in, the fullback at running back. because that's not a big part of our offense. We're a passing team. That's no way around it. That's what we do. We pass the ball. You know, we got third and short. We're going to find a way to skim out the pocket and get a 4-yard completion. Because that's what we are. So, am I worried about the games being close? Not at all. I just know that if it comes down to us having the ball in the last few seconds, that 9 times out of 10 we're going to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things for we as fans, we have this expectation, you know, like this whole Golden State aspect where we know we can score at any time. And then when we're seeing these games like, oh, we're only winning by 5, we're only winning by 4. It's like, yeah, we're confident in it, but it's also like, I know we can score a crap ton on this team, but we're not doing that. So I guess that's where, like, you know, we have to find ways I guess for so many years we've been jaded as Chief fans to be like, there's a problem with this team. There's a problem somewhere. We're not just happy with these 5-point wins or 6-point wins. You know, it's more of these. We're
all screaming at the TV, Marcus, when the games are going on. Like, oh, what the heck are we doing now? Like, why we couldn't get this 4 or 5 yards? Why couldn't we get this completion? Right. Like, come on, Patrick, why are you trying to make this pass? And why are we doing? When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, we still got the win. That's the thing I'm most happiest with.
Yeah.
You know. Do you want to be won that way? No. Do you want to score on every drive? Yes, because it looks better and it makes the fans feel better. But that's not nobody's. I don't think there has been a perfect game played in the NFL. So yeah, there's times you're gonna have to punt. There's times you're gonna have to. Well, I guess we did play the no punt game. So, but not every game is gonna be perfect, man. So you can't expect that.
Right. And the one thing also that you guys kind of alluded to, that the lack of run game, you know, the 4-yard passes we have, that is our run game in a lot of ways. And did you guys ever see that the NFL would become like more of a Big 12 kind of offensive kind of game? Did you guys ever think this would be a kind of a way to play in the NFL?
I tell you what, not really. And the reason is, you know, when you look at prototypical guys as evaluating them, you always want a good running back. You know, you got to have a decent offensive line. But as far as the thing that they do, and I say this, because a lot of these guys that are out here right now played in college with that style, that's kind of what they're used to. Whereas, you know, we were used to more physical style, right? Like Coach Ramil said last week, you know, it was a physical game. It was a combat sport.
2 tight ends.
At 2 tight ends, and we're gonna run down your throat. That's just what it is. And so, you know, guys knew, now get all your cleats in the ground, like, cause here we come. That's why Oakland used to always have those big guys up front, right? The Cowboys used to have a huge offensive line, but now you're starting to see guys a lot thinner because they pass blocking, you know, tackles more so than run blocking tackles. They're tight ends. I look at the tight ends block all the time. It is absolutely horrible. The blocks that the tight ends are doing out there right now. I mean, it's atrocious. It really is. But no, I never would thought it would get to where it is. And I like teams that kind of get back to where the running game. I think they're actually like a stronger team where you can do both, where it's just not one-sided. So I will say that's my one concern, is because you have to have an effective running game. And the only bad thing with some of these passes to the outside is, you know, if they're incomplete, you stop the clock. So that's a bad thing about it. That's the only thing I can say is a negative part of it.
No, to say it would be where it's at right now, I'd be lying. But just like with any other sport, I always compare things to basketball. Like, heck, we never thought we'd see the game evolve to, you know, 7-foot guys shooting 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So, but that's the game. That's how the game has evolved to. You know, and with football, as JD said, even when I played in college, 10 out of 10 schools that we played knew we were running the option, couldn't stop it. 10 out of 10. We could even tell you the play that we're going to run it, and they couldn't stop it. You know, so when you line up in a 2 tight end set, basically teams should know you're going to run the ball. You know, it's a power offense. Ace is what we call it. But you make things more complicated when you spread offenses out and you do all this motion. It makes it easier for the quarterback and the offense to see what kind of a defense that you're in when you spread them out, you know, whether it's man or zone. how tight the coverage is, and or if it's blitz or whatever. So in that aspect, it makes it more recognizable. But also with the spread offense, you're putting up more points, and then you have the league is kind of on your side, meaning that you get more calls your way offensively, more pass interference calls when you open up the passing game. So there's a lot more that kind of plays into it. Is it what we wanted it to be? Heck, you can't even have big hits. So a lot of this game has changed from what it used to be. Targeting is now almost an ejection. Big hits are personal fouls. So a lot of it has changed, and we just have to accept it for where it's at. Do you want to see your guys 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, throw up a pass? We get frustrated, like, why don't we just the quarterback sneak or just power run through the middle for short yards? And yet we're trying to throw it outside. But it's what the game has become. So
yeah. And I think Andy Reid is kind of scared about doing a QB sneak ever again with Mahomes based on what happened in that Broncos game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the second we do run the QB sneak, the defenses are going to be surprised by that, because I think everyone just thinks we was ruled out QB sneaks altogether after that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen something that, knock on wood, that's kind of one of those fluke accidents. How do you run a quarterback sneak and blow a kneecap?
Crazy.
Yeah.
But JD, you talked about the O-line aspect of things. That was my other concern. During the game on Sunday, you and I kind of talked about, I think after that one collision Mahomes had, we got sandwiched. Just looking at the numbers, he was sacked 4 times and he was hit 11 times during that game. After watching that, how much of a priority, if we are going to play this, kind of this air raid kind of offense, this hybrid air raid, we have to take kind of prioritize our line as far as, in free agency or in the draft. But after watching that game and going against a good defense like New Orleans, how serious does the front office kind of have to take looking at the shoring up the offensive line going into next year in free agency and in draft?
I mean, it has to definitely be one of your priorities, for the simple fact, because of who you got back there, who you protected. And I've never seen somebody or anybody that has a whole lot of money is going to get like a small safe to protect their money, or nothing to really protect their money. You want a high security system to protect that. And when you see what happened, and he got sandwiched, and I was just like, oh my goodness, he can't keep taking hits like that. And I would have just ripped the offensive line a new one when I seen that happen. Like, look, he cannot take a hit. I don't care, man. Hold the guy if you need to, but this guy right here cannot get hit. If he get beat, hold it. Because we do a good job passing the ball. So we'll make up for that. But daggone it, don't let this joker just beat you and let him tear off from the quarterback. We can't do that. The guy's too valuable for us. So it's got to be priority to get somebody in there. And I would think, more so free agency, because guys already, he's ready. He's already been in the fire, so he's ready to go. You can't get a young guy in there, because that's really going to get beat. I ain't got time for excuses and sorries. I ain't got time for a guy to start coming in and be worried. They're like, yeah, coach, I'll get it next time. To heck with next time. We talk about this.
The only thing bad about the free agency, JD, is like, them offensive tackles, I think they are the second highest paid players in the league. So they don't come cheap, and we can't afford that.
Well, hey, but hey, get a guy that at least, the second tier. So even if you had to take a guy and move him inside, right, to the guard, but you have like that whole off season. Shit, look, if I'm telling you, if I got this gold bar back here, okay, I ain't got time to just put up like a little fence to protect this gold bar.
I get what you're saying. I'm not arguing it. I'm not arguing with what you're saying.
Yeah.
How you gonna get them?
But look at it. What's going to get you more money, right? So if I go cheap in free agency, trying to get a guy in here, just trying to put something together, patchwork, as opposed to get a big guy in here. This guy back here, if we keep him, we're going to keep winning Super Bowls. That's the way I look at it. So it's like, look, it's going to be a good investment. I don't want to invest that much into it, right? I hate investing that much into it, but it's necessary to get to where we need to get to. So that's where I look at it. If you don't, and this sucker right here gets hurt, well, shit, everybody going to be upset. Hell, your kids going to be mad, and yeah, you can't do it there. No.
Definitely a situation you got to approach. I'm not arguing that.
Mhm.
I just don't think we got the funds in the bank account to unless we write some checks under the table. So I don't think we got the funds to bring in a free agent guy that's solid to take that spot. What's Fisher? Fisher 7, 8? How long has he been there?
He was drafted in 2012 or 2013. So yeah, 7 or 8 years.
The years. You know,
He's at a point to right now as a first round pick. Like he should be more solid than what he is. Yeah, our offensive line is not playing well. Yes, it needs to be addressed. But also we got to get some help with our DNs. I know we Taco was playing well before he got hurt. It seems like Frank is getting oversized. He's not been able to use his quickness the way he was years before. I don't know if he's lost weight, lost some strength, but it's like he's some of the bigger guys are just swallowing him up coming around the edge. And Chris Jones, to me, is basically the only thing we got that's pressuring defenses. So right now, teams are able to keep up with us point for point. We have some issues that do need to be addressed. Right now, I think offensive line might be number one just because you have to protect the Brinks truck. On top of that, we got like
good. That's good. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is back there.
But yeah, we got some things we have to address. But at this point right now, we have to ride this wave out. You know, we gotta find ways within the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators to put plays together to where we can, for one, give Patrick enough time to get rid of the ball. Two, defensively, we got to find ways to slow down and stop offenses. And right now, we haven't really done that on defense. And on offense, it's showing because Patrick is starting to get hit more and more.
I tell you what, at Evil, if you had to compare, you think there's more? I think there's more guys walking the street. And I ask you this: that can rush the passer and probably get pressure on a guy, as opposed to protecting that guy, right? I mean, those guys protect the quarterback, man. It's hard to find. They really are. They're rare. And so I think you can get a defensive tackle who's hungry. I think you can get a guy who pass rushes pretty good off the edge, even if that's just all he does, right? If I just have you coming in and getting pressure, I don't care if you're 240, you know, if you're 270. But if you can do that, then we need to get you in here. But I just think that you can get guys like that in free agency on the defensive side that you wouldn't have to pay a whole lot of money to. But that guy that's protecting that quarterback, that Brinks truck, shoot, those guys hard to find, man. They really are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, to Eric's point, I mean, that's why I asked about drafting, whether the first or second round pick and the high picks to get an offensive lineman, just because, I mean, we don't have that much money. A lot went to Frank, Chris Jones, and Patrick, the $500 million man. But yeah, that's just the one thing that kind of stood out. But granted, though, we had the Canadian, Tardif, the doctor who didn't play this year. So he'll be back next year. And then Schwartz hasn't been around for a while. So hopefully when those guys come back and then maybe we do draft this first or second round lineman and throw them in the mix. Yeah. But it's funny what talking about Fisher, Eric, you were saying how like he really hasn't lived up to what a number one lineman should be, right? But in that draft class, I remember it wasn't the sexiest of draft classes. Obviously, we drafted a tackle at number one, but it was him, Luke Jokel, and then Lane Johnson were the three tackles that we were looking at. And a lot of people said we should draft a Jokel. Jokel's out of the NFL within 5 years, and then Lane Johnson, I mean, he's been hurt every other year. So I mean, of those three, I think we did pick the right one, but I mean, I don't think he has lived up to what a number one tackle should be.
But that just goes to allude to my point, like how hard it is to find those guys. I mean, you just named two guys out of the league and one's just hurt all the time. It's tough. It's tough to get those guys.
Yeah.
But
and the past,
it's tough to get anything. Like hell, we draft off of what we think potentially these players are going to turn out to be. You know, there's no way I thought Patrick's going to turn out to be what he is. You know, I didn't think Kelsey would turn out to be the player that he is. You know, Tariq didn't have the college career that a lot of these guys have had, and yet look what he's turned out to be. So it's just one of those, put in the right system, guys can turn out to be way better than what they were, whether it was high school or college. And given what we have right now, I'm glad we have what we have. But these guys have outperformed. I guarantee they've outperformed the expectation of what the front offices thought they would give.
And I'll say this, and it goes into that the system part of it. It's almost like New England, right? New England was successful because of the system, right?
Yeah.
You could say Brady or whatever, man, it was a system in itself that these guys, Welker, Edelman, all these guys was able to eat, got, a good name on them because of the system in itself. And so that's why you can have any guy come in and just plug into the system and still do well. And so with that, this is what I believe, if you're going to bring a guy in free agency, if you win another Super Bowl, that's the incentive. It's like, look, you know what? We may not have all this money for you, but you have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And so the money is there for you down the road. So at least when you come in, you got a chance to win the championship, okay? Maybe make the Pro Bowl, but of course your money's going to go up from there. And we can defer your payments if we need to at the end. So that was always those ways you can do it. That's what New England did. They didn't pay nobody. I watched how Ty Law said he was the number one corner and still wasn't getting paid. So Bill was just so tough on contract negotiation with guys, but the incentive was to come in and win a Super Bowl, buy into the system, and then, there you go. You got that on your resume.
Oh, I agree. And as much as we sit up here and we dissect what's going on with the team, if they go on and win a Super Bowl, so basically what we've talked about is just giving our, we've been critiquing players for no reason. And hell, they still went out and got the job done, Yeah. So, yes, the team within itself knows the weaknesses that they have, but shit, they still won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, how weak are those weaknesses, those weak points?
Right. But you always try to go out and get better, right?
Oh, I know.
Try to win the next one. So it's just
100%.
like, yeah, sure. That's what LeBron them after they won the championship. He said they start shipping jokers out the door, didn't they?
100%. Now, see, it's easy for us to sit here and critique certain things and evaluate and give our opinions on things because we see a lot more of what the sport is. We understand it a lot more. I'll say me and JD do as far as Marcus, just haven't been thrown in the fire. But the worst part for me is having the harsh critic give their opinions on social media. And it's like, man, if you only knew, like, you don't know what the defense was called. You don't know what offensive play was called, yet you sit there and you criticize and say some harsh things about these people. And it's almost, they get personal with them. So, and I understand what the sport is. Like it's some people's livelihood, and it's something to be taken serious. And I've never looked at it that way as being a player, how important the sport was to some people's existence, and that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that I've always heard. I forgot what player it was, but it was talking about what if it was like if I went to your job and was at your cubicle all day and was like saying stuff about you're not doing your job right. You probably hate that. And I mean, it's true. I mean, but we're talking about just that with the problems within the team. We're not personally saying anyone's, we're not calling out someone. I'm sure
exactly.
as you've seen on Twitter, people, say some of the worst things that people do they don't even know, or a game they don't really know. Really, they watch.
Yeah, but that's what I was getting at. Like we don't get into all that. We're just basically giving an opinion on what we've seen and what we've been through.
Yeah. Look, the reality is, man, this is a performance-based business, and so the pressure is always going out there and perform every single game. And so we critique it because I know blocking, that's my forte. So when I see a guy come off, trying to block a 7 or 9 technique, and I know it's not up to par as it should be, I'm gonna critique it, because like you said, I've been in the fire. I know what that is. I can see the lack in the steps, or even like the care. You can see the care in a guy. You know, you can tell a guy when he's covering somebody, you can tell him his body language, how he feels. You know that thought process.
But your opinion, Jason, is more constructive criticism, though, instead of you ripping somebody a new one. And so that's basically what you're giving. Though you're giving like constructive criticism, like, hey man, you didn't do this, you got beat. It is, in a certain way, I'm trying to help you understand because I've been there. Instead of like what you get on the social media, you get personal attacks.
Right.
So that's the stuff that I kind of hate. But I enjoy what we've done here, what we've created, and I'm happy with the little CC that we got going.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, I heard this. It says you never take criticism from somebody you want to take advice from. So I ain't taking advice from somebody on the street about football or blocking.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to take criticism from him either. You know what I mean? So that's just, you got to live by that. Water down the duck's back, brother. It's got to be that way. So
it's one of those things.
It hurts. I know it does.
It's one of those things too. It's like, we take, like our last segment, we see the chief concerns from the kingdom, and we talk about tweets and stuff. What we're doing is we're educating people as to what they're concerned about, what their actual concern is. It's not they can't stand Eric Fisher. It's no, he's not, JD, you can go more into, his blocking and the way he's going about it, and we're providing an education that a lot of people don't know, they just see, he's given up a lot of QB pressures, but they don't really know why that is. Right. So it's more of educating the fans. Which is something that we provide that, a lot of shows maybe don't. We see Stephen A go off on these guys, he never played in the NFL, but he's calling out these guys, and and who knows how much of the game he's even watching, right?
Yeah.
But so the next thing, the next topic is about CEH, that horrible injury that he took on Sunday. Luckily, that it's not. It sounds awful, the injury, but it's not like he's not gone for the year. He could still play in the playoffs. But we talked about the Le'Veon. That was our first episode with when we signed Le'Veon. And now he's going to be the guy. So what do you expect to see from Le'Veon now, Eric?
I think he's far enough in the season within the team to know the playbook well enough to be given any calls in any given situation. I think he's experienced enough to take over the starting job and do well with it. As far as pass blocking, he's big enough. He can handle the pressure. He understands defenses as they blitz, who to pick up on. And he's a good running back. He's had some spurts in games where he's shown that he still got it. But again, we don't ask a lot of our running backs. We don't want to. We have to keep defenses honest. So we can't just have a defense in pass mode the entire game. So we have to show that, we have a running game. We're going to run the ball. So don't just sit there and think every rep is a passing attempt. So, and with him back there, like I said, we still have Darrell Williams too, to where if called upon, they've been putting him in a little bit more the last couple of games. He hasn't been getting a lot of reps, but he's been getting in. So he's well tuned with the playbook. Knows the players really well. So if his number's called, he can step in and do just as good. So the running backs right now, I don't have a concern with. If we don't have any major injuries to one, our number one is Mahomes, two being Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, I think we'll survive and get through the rest of this season.
JD?
Yeah, so this is, if you say the time could have been better, this is probably the time that could have been better for us, for him to get hurt and come back in the playoffs, but also to Le'Veon Bell. Like he's ready. And I seen it this past Sunday. I mean, they ran the option with him. Patrick Mahomes, they ran the option for a touchdown. And so he bodes well for what we do offensively, because it's just a wide open offense, right? And so he fits right in that mode of, give the ball off to him, hesitates, run, get him out, in the passing route. He does a great job of that. So I think he fits real well into what they do. But like you said, man, if you need a pass, protecting running back, you bring Williams in, right? Because he does a great job. He's a much better pass protector than Le'Veon. But Le'Veon's going to have to be the one to eat. So I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm just like, okay, now we get to see what you get to do now, right? Now you get that little rust off of you, going out every other play or every other series. No, you the guy. That's why we brought you in. All right, let's go, baby. It's your time to get back. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and talk about the stuff we see on Twitter. In the first couple of games, I saw so many people say, "Oh, he's washed up. He's old. He's slow. He's like Shady McCoy." I'll tell you, there's something about his moves. It's so smooth the way he moves. He may not be the fastest guy. He's not a burner by any means, but there's something so smooth about him. He's always falling forward. It's something I've always noticed about Le'Veon, even now on our team. He's always falling forward. He's always making people miss. He's slippery, and I can't wait to see him get the tote the rock more than he has been. So I'm really excited about him, especially against Atlanta's defense. So that'll definitely be fun to watch.
Yeah. So it's almost hard because you couldn't take a guy like CEH out, right? Because he was doing so well for us. Yeah. So you don't want to take this guy out, and alienate him because he was effective. Yep. So I get that part of it. So now if you don't have an issue as far as getting him in there, let him get healthy. Thank God. Like you said, it's not that serious. But now Williams can come in. I think it's going to be a nice little gel for them offensively.
We should have given Clyde like a nickname throughout the season because I get tongue-tied trying to say his name. I know it's Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, but I get tongue-tied trying to add his name into some of the comments or dialogue that I have. So we should have just given him a nickname or something.
Here in the game on Sunday, Tony Romo didn't even know how to pronounce his name.
Oh, he did?
No. He was like, "Is it Alaire or Hilaire?" He goes, "I think I want an eclair," is what he said.
Yeah.
But so now going to this week, we got the Atlanta Falcons. They're not world beaters by any means. They, for the most part, been kind of a disappointment this year. The last couple of years they have been. But essentially, there's a bunch of playoff scenarios. But the most, I guess, the easiest one is just win, and we clinch the number 1 seed. So there's other ones we lose, but I think for us, just win, and that's pretty much it. I guess how big of a game is this, and how important is the bye? We've kind of alluded to it over the last couple of weeks, but how important is this clinching the 1 seed?
I mean, you obviously want it because it helps mentally and physically to rest your body. You don't have to worry about what you have that coming weekend. You can sit at home and enjoy your family time. You want to shop online, do that. Just, you get to sit back and watch and rest while the others sit out there and pummel each other. And knowing that you have an easier route to get into the Super Bowl. So, and right, with the number 1 seed, that means you're the better team. So it helps to get this win. And as bad as Atlanta's been playing, they're not a bad team. Ridley's been eating it up. You always have to worry about Julio Jones and Matt Ryan with those two guys as his weapons has continued to put up good numbers. So, but for some reason for them, they just seem to fall apart in the end. But they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight and up until the fourth quarter. Like they just find a way to fall apart. But they're a good team, so don't go in there thinking it's going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah. So the thing is, every week it's going to be a hard task. It doesn't matter. It's the NFL. So, like you said, man, they still got their monster Julio. Matt Ryan is an effective quarterback, still good. They got some young receivers, Gage and who's the other guy they got? Oh, they got the tight end I like a lot, Hurst.
Yep.
So they got some guys on offense, defensively, kind of middle of the pack, but this is going to be a good test for us. This is what we're talking about, like getting Le'Veon a little bit more and seeing how he's going to do against this team. Running the football, and maybe the same thing. Get some of the tackles, and that's what we're talking about, the running game, right? Because when you're passing the ball, and it's kind of going back to what we were saying before, where now it's just kind of backyard football, throwing the ball. well, shoot, now it's time to get the running backs or the offensive line cleats in the ground, because you're not really practicing this in practice. You're not. Do it in the game. You know what? Go ahead and commit to the running game this game. You can do it. This is the time to do it. Do it now before it gets too late. You know, you don't want to get to the playoffs to figure out, well, we need a running game. No, you need a running game now. We still got some time to do it. Start working on it right now. This is a great game to do, you know, the running game. Establish it. So I'm with that every week, seriously.
Yeah. And I think looking at the numbers, Atlanta's defense, as far as rushing defense, is they're better against the run than they are against the pass. So it could be a nice little test for our run game to see what we can do against them. Okay, so favorite part of the show is the predictions. What do you guys got? Chiefs are a 10-point favorite at home.
Heck, every time I pick a score, I mean, we get close. We score close to what I pick.
Yeah.
Every time.
Wait a minute. I don't know about.
I'm talking about offensively. Offensively, my number the number that I picked offensively every week has been like maybe 2 points off.
Yeah,
maybe 2 points off. Now I've always picked the opposing team wrong, but a win's a win. So I'm gonna go with. I think again 30 plus. So I'm gonna give us 35. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give us 40 because I just think we're gonna put up so many points in the first half. I think we put up at least 28 the first half, and so I give us 40 to 28.
Okay, so I'm gonna go opposite on this. So this is where I'm looking for it to be the running game, trying to establish that, right? We always get at it with the pass because it's what we do. But I think it's going to be a more low-scoring game. It's going to be 28-21 because you're going to have to use, you know, Le'Veon, Williams. You try to get these guys ready for the playoffs. You're trying to get them ready for these next few games. So let's lean on these guys for a little bit, and let's make this our staple. This week, let's run the football. So 28-21 is, I mean, it's still a great game. But also, too, you're not putting Mahomes at any risk. You know what I mean? So, he got sandwiched last week. Look, don't have him throwing 40, 50 balls this week. He don't need to. He don't need to.
Nah, he won't. I don't think he'll throw that many, but I think that Kelsey wants to lead the league in receiving yardage. So I think that's gonna play into it. He's gonna want his numbers. Tariq's gonna get his numbers. So you got those two that have. I know it's some sort of a plateau that they're trying to reach every game, and Kelsey right now is leading the league, I think, in receiving yardages.
I think Hopkins has him narrowly right now.
Oh, he does?
It's very close right now.
Yeah.
So, and for him to be right there, that'd be the first in NFL history as a tight end to lead all receivers in yardage. So I think that'll play into it the first half. We'll see how that goes. And if they're not keened in on him, like trying to stop him, make sure he doesn't get any catches, yeah, we might have to tone it down and stick with the running game and pound it out. But then that also opens up the rest of the guys for one-on-one. So I don't know. I just think our passing game is it is what it is. And I can't see us getting away from it because we're trying to establish something else. And like even going into the playoffs, you know, that's who we are, you know, and nobody's been able to stop it. So why get away from it?
Well, I think it's got to be a mix. And that's what I've seen like that second half when they start moving the ball, kind of, moving the chains the second half when they stalled out is they mixed it up. So it was like a run here, a pass there, run here, pass there. And sometimes that's what you have to do. So don't become predictable. Like just, now you're lined up, you got 2 chin straps on, you know what I'm saying? Forearm guards and stuff like that. But you mix it up a little bit. So you open it up, bring him in motion, then give the ball to him. And, run some RPOs. So just, at least, because you start seeing teams, I mean, they sitting back 20 yards, the safeties are. Every bit of it. They're just trying to keep everything in front of them. Well, guess what? Let's, spread guys out, run the football. Spread guys out, run the football. Bring guys in, then expand. So you mix it up. You just got to mix it up, B.
Now, we like how you think, but I guarantee you that the offensive coordinator is not going to like that. If they see a safety playing 20 yards back, Kelsey's gonna start eating that little area.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. But hey, and like you said, all right. So I'll go to this. I don't know if you remember, cause I don't know. Tony needed, I don't know how many catches, maybe to get 100 catches or 90, something like that. So we play in San Diego, and it seemed like every play or every other play, we was throwing the football to him. I'm like, dang, God, I think catches don't get this catch. Because we was throwing like little dinky, like a flat route or like something over the middle. I'm like, oh, okay, this is how it's gonna go today, huh? Yeah. I didn't sign up for this right now. I didn't sign up for this today. So he comes to the sideline. I'm like, oh, so what'd you do? You go talk to Al Saunders, before the game started, saying you need about 15 catches? Because we doing all this little, this ain't what we do. We don't do this. We go down the field, buddy. This is what we do. We run Priest back here or Larry. But these little dink and dumps to you, we ain't never did this before.
Yeah.
So, of course, he looking at me with that little laugh. I'm like, shit. So, yeah, man, I get it. So we'll see. But I think you got to mix it up, though. So
what's your prediction on the score, though?
So my prediction was 28-21. So the thing is,
I didn't hear that.
So get ahead, right? Same thing. Get ahead. Let Kelsey eat. Tyreek, let them eat a little bit. But then all of a sudden, run the football, then hit them over top, right? That's so that's what they do. They do a good job of that. So.
Okay, 28-21.
28-21, man. 28-21. I don't know, E, but I think I've been close as far as like the prediction and scores for both sides. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing
No.
Hey, my bookie man gives me a call, man. Hey, we on it.
So over the last 6 games, we are 1-5 against the spread overall. So yeah, that plays into the whole winning game 6 points or less. But yeah, I think JD, you've been kind of spot on as far as like the going within the spreads. I think overall, Eric's been spot on with our score. But as far as like I think the spread.
I've always gotten over the spread. I give us too much. But yeah.
Yeah, he'd be
my prediction.
Yeah, he'd be like 56-14. I'm like, dang. I love it. No, I do. No, it's good. It's good because the Jokers, they score now. That's absolutely. They score.
But looking at the numbers here, so Hopkins has a 6-yard lead over Kelsey right now.
Wow.
But it's really between Hopkins, Kelsey, and Diggs. Diggs has 1,314 yards. Kelsey's got 1,318, and Hopkins has 1,324. It seems like it's a 3-way race between them two. And then Tyreek's at number 5 overall right now with 1,211 yards. And then DK Metcalf's 1,223 at 4. But Tyreek's leading the league in receiving touchdowns right now as well.
Yeah, the 15 or something, right?
Yeah, 15, and then Devontae Adams has 14. So yeah, they both are playing to I guess establish themselves as the leader in either in the yards category or the touchdown category.
That's gonna play it. I know we don't need these. We don't necessarily need the rest of these games. I know this. Well, we do need this Atlanta game just to clinch it. So what, 2 after that?
Just wanted to say. Just say.
Okay, all right. So I'm wrong. So yeah, I think this is big because the numbers that they will receive will determine how much they play in the last game. So technically, a lot of the starters don't play in the last game because they have to risk injuries and rest, and even though you're getting a bye week, you still don't want to risk that by putting them out there in that last game when they're really not needed, and you get the backups the reps. So I think they're going to try to pour on the numbers as far as Patrick, Kelsey, and Tariq trying to get there.
How risky is that as far as let's say we do clinch this Sunday, then we rest next week, then we get the bye week, 3 weeks off. I mean, I guess they'd be playing with two weeks off. I mean, is that kind of risky as far as getting out of that like a zone of like?
Oh, they're going to practice. So just because you got bye weeks, you're going to get some reps in.
Right.
Even the week of the game, they're still going to get their reps. They're just not going to play in the game or they may go in for a few snaps, kind of like a preseason game, go in for a few snaps and sit the rest out.
Yeah, but that game speed is something else though. It's different from practice. You sure you know that? So that'd be almost 3 weeks into playing. You're saying if you fully do that, almost 2.5, almost 3 weeks. So if you're doing a half, and I'm on the mindset of this. It's almost like you're playing scared. If you're thinking about getting hurt, you will get hurt. And so
okay, but that's how it's always been, though, JD.
Yeah,
but every other team has done it that way.
Now, hold on. I haven't really seen Belichick do it that way. I never really seen him take them guys out. That joker didn't know. He ain't never taking them guys out. Them guys, they knew when they came in, you are playing.
In the last game?
Yeah. Come in the building. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the knock on it. Because, he just didn't care. He didn't care if you're Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to play. He walk in this building, he getting paid. He going to be out there on the field. So it's Belichick, though. Belichick was like that because he knew you had that week off. So that week off was when you rest. You rest when you're supposed to rest. But other than that, hey, shoot, come out here, stay sharp and crisp, So we seen Lamar Jackson all in when they did that and how they came back and how, man, it was horrible. It was terrible. They was off key, the timing was off, and frustrated. Well, shit,
yeah,
man,
but they're not us though.
I get it, but I'm just saying in the NFL, man. You take off. You ain't touched the toe yet to stretch in 3 weeks. Come on now, it's gonna be tough. At game time speed, man, something.
But
totally
that's not
different.
how it is, though, JD. You know that. 3 weeks off isn't 3 weeks off. 3 weeks off, you're gonna practice.
Right? No, I get that. But we also know playoffs it's one and done. That's it.
Oh, I get that.
And the speed up is going to be even faster. It's going to be even harder hits. So guys are going to be more amped up. And
that week of the game, that week of the actual game, you already know you're going to go all out in preparation.
I get it. I know it. But shoot, we know we done had the times off. I know when you had time off, you take your time off. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even tying your shoes up. Like, man, you get sped up. You like, for what? Oh, man. Sped up for this? You ain't wearing your mouthpiece or nothing. You like, come on, man. Oh,
you mess around and walk out to practice against Stacey Adams, huh?
Got your bathrobe all day. Like, what you doing? Oh, man, my fault. I'm sorry. So yeah. That's it.
So you anticipate some of the guys to be dressed out. Let's say we win on Sunday, knock on wood. So you expect some of the guys to be dressed up on the following week?
You better dress everybody out. I don't care if
I think everybody dresses out. Now, playing time.
Right.
Is a thing that won't be 100%. I don't think they'll play the entire game.
Yeah. You tell them, hey, look, man, you got 3 series. 3 series, that's it. 3 series, you out of here, okay? So just make them a good 3 series. All right, don't go out there and just, cakewalk it. Like you're gonna come up and sit down.
You go out there and cakewalk. Either you're gonna get hurt or somebody else is gonna get hurt.
Right.
Yeah, especially if we're playing San Diego with their pass rush that they have. So
yeah,
that's something that plays into it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so last chief concern is I try to dig in the archives to find some stuff from some footage of you guys playing against the Falcons. What is one memory you guys have against playing the Falcons over your careers?
I know I had an interception. I had an interception when we played them, but it was kind of irrelevant. My thing was playing against the Falcons when I was there was with Michael Vick. I was such a fan of Michael Vick and his talent, just the way he was able to use his speed against DBs that were, we're supposedly fast too. And he just run off with some of those guys. And I actually had dinner with Mike out here in Dallas 2 years ago. And it took him a second to remember. And he was like, oh, you were that dude that picked me off and y'all had like 8 touchdowns against us. I said, yeah, that's what it is. But the thing for me, it wasn't what I did. It was what our running backs and our offense did to get those 8 touchdowns in one game. So I was just more excited that, we had that kind of firepower to where, Priest and Blaylock, where heck, Priest got hurt. I think he still almost had 150 yards rushing.
Oh yeah.
And Blaylock came in and almost rushed for 100. So just to see what those guys were able to do offensively is the thing that kind of sticks to my mind.
With 21 seconds to go in the half, Eric Warfield intercepted the Peerless Price drop, setting up Holmes' fourth touchdown run.
So 2 games. So one was in Philly, and I caught one over the middle, and outran the safety, and I took about 70 yards. And this sucker, I'll tell you what, when you talk about a last-second dive, I mean, I'm pulling out from it. Now, look, I ran a legit 4.5. I was a 4.5 guy, 4.47. I was right there. Man, I'm out running the safety, pulling out from him. And I know he's sitting there just thinking in his mind, man, if I let this tight end just outrun, he dives, and when I tell you just clips, just the 2 fingers, grip the back of my foot, I fell, and I had it, man. I had my head in the back, man. I was in the wind, I was in the wind, baby. And it was 70 yards, and he dove and clipped me and stopped me around about the 5-yard line. I ended up
tapping on the ankles.
Yeah, sure did. Shoestring tackle.
Here's Pete back, blitz coming. He goes deep. He's got by Jason Dunn, his big tight end. And here comes the rookie from Eastern Kentucky, caught from behind and tripped at the 19-yard line. Patrick Bates, number 24, saved the touchdown.
Well, John Gruden, the offensive coordinator this week, said Jason Dunn has an incredible upside. He said he can't do the subtle things real well just yet. But number 87 has got great speed, and you can't match him up with a linebacker. And if you do, we're going to find that matchup, and you're going to have plays like this. 63 yards later, Patrick Bates saves the touchdown with the right hand.
Now they revised it to 58 yards now instead of 63.
Then, of course, you talking about when we played them out there in Kansas City, coming in with the #1 defense, and they, talking about how great they were. Man, we beat the brakes out them jokers, man. We was we was opening up the holes, the Red Sea. I mean, Priest ain't never seen holes like that, man. That and it was one of those things that we was challenged to say this is the best defense coming in. Michael Vick, what he can do. And we came in and like you said, we had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns first half. Like, we was killing them. We killed them like 45-8, man. We called the dogs off. That was the thing about it.
56-10 the total score, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And I think we called the dogs off. But it was just so easy, man. We just made it a point. We was just
so technically in the NFL, calling the dogs off is running the ball. Because when you're throwing the ball and when you're up that much, it's basically like disrespect.
Yeah,
but when you can run the ball and you just, like you said, you're trying to be respectful, but play hard, play well, and you still just smashing them in the – yeah, it's just –
right. Ain't nothing they can do. What we're supposed to do, we ain't just going to sit down now. Look, we still going to try to score, But at least we running the football. And they still
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, that was good. That was a good week. That was a good game. So I know they didn't like it that much on their side.
That dirty bird was real dirty that day.
You had a nice spin move off your interception too, Eric. I thought you were going to take it to the house. I was rewatching the highlights the other day. You had a nice pick, and you spun right after you got that.
Man, I wish I could get all my highlights of my interceptions or big plays, because I don't. As much as I've watched the guys that are Pro Bowl guys that were especially on the teams that were in my conference, or as far as Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey, to Delta O'Neal, I think was one of those that made it. Quentin Jammer, like I enjoy watching those guys play, and I always wanted to know like what they did extra that I didn't do, and heck, even the numbers as far as we played each other, their numbers weren't better than mine. I mean, Champ ended up a couple of years to where he was putting up big numbers interception-wise, and yes, he's a standout corner. But for Charles, the first few years of Charles' career, when I was up against, I know we don't play against each other, but comparison-wise, like I was having way better numbers. And just because he was such a hype guy as far as the first defensive guy to win the Heisman, first top 2 pick, I think he was.
Yeah, yep.
He got most of the votes as far as going into the Pro Bowl. So I became good friends with him after my career, trained with him down in Houston. So we joke a lot about a lot of things that went on in our careers, but I just never got to see myself compared to those guys on certain levels and when they played. And I enjoy it sometimes, and it sucks to have to watch some of the games that we struggled in as a team, and even as myself individually. But it's a joy to watch at times. I wish I need to get all that stuff put on some sort of a disc.
When we did our interview over the summer, like in the run up to our interview, I went to as many games as I could. I dug through the archives. I think I ended up getting like 15 of your interceptions in your career. I try to go from your first to the end, but I think I ended up getting 15 or 16 of your interceptions.
Oh, you need to send me those then.
I'll put that in a highlight reel together, and then I'll post them on YouTube and stuff.
Okay, sweet.
I think we can go through archives, man, through the Hall of Fame. They have a deal through the NFL. We can all our game film.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you mention that? What's the name of the stuff that is it Sable?
Yes.
Steve Sable.
Yep.
So when they used to do, you supposedly are able to email them and send them a request of your highlights.
Yep.
I sent them that last year. I haven't gotten one single thing back, and I've even gotten a response from them.
Yeah, because I was gonna say because you don't want to share it with everybody. When you don't want to share it.
Yep, I did in the group.
Right. Yeah. And you didn't get nothing. You didn't hear nothing.
Got nothing.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah, they did lie to us. They lied. They just lied.
They always do that.
Yeah.
Actually, Jason, they have the full game. Oh my gosh, I have it saved on here somewhere, but they have the full game of your 58-yard catch against the Falcons.
Okay, 58. I thought it was 70. So 70 sound better, but 58's good.
Well, when you get older, you kind of make things look way better than what it was.
Yeah, there's 85 yards, man. That was 105 return on that.
Rodney P was the quarterback in that one, right?
Rodney P. Petey. Yeah.
Lord, you played with Pete?
Yeah, I played with Petey. I sure did. Yeah. Oh, and the crazy part was Holly Robinson. Holly, 21 Jump Street. Woo!
Oh, I know Holly is.
Yeah. I used to come in, eyes big, when I used to see her. But she's sweet, people are just people. But when you coming out of college, you see her, I'm like, man, that's Holly Robinson right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that his wife?
That's his wife, yeah.
Oh, damn.
I used to get Petey daps all the time. You a bad boy. I see you, Petey.
Well, that was the luxurious life of going to USC. I mean, he was around all the Hollywood girls.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to the final segment, the Chief Kingdom Concern segment. Now, this one, it kind of talks about one of the concerns we had earlier, but we didn't get into this aspect of it. It comes from @NFL Doug Farrar. He tweeted, "I have a super funky feeling about the Chiefs-Falcons matchup. It could be a stunner." Eric, what is your response to that?
I mean, as I said early, they got 2 receivers that are deadly out there. One of those is pretty much going to require double team most of the game. That's Julio Jones. But he hasn't been 100% healthy all year. But to make up for that, really he's just been eating it up. He's been taking all that Julio hasn't been getting. So do they have enough to go out and beat us overall? I don't think so. But it's one of those games we can't go in half-assing, thinking that it's just going to be a cakewalk just because they have a bad record. Their record really doesn't show how good of a team that they have been. They easily could have been above 500 with the first 4 games of the season that they just kind of gave away. So they're definitely a team that we can't go in expecting a win just because they have a bad record.
All right. And our next Chief Kingdom Concern comes from @Ryan Landreth. He tweeted, "The Chiefs should play their starters the entirety of both the next games. They've won 22 of 23 games. Don't mess with the juju." Jason, what's your thoughts on that tweet?
You know, and I kind of agree a little bit. Maybe the last game, even if it's like maybe the half or the third quarter, you might want to taper it down a little bit. But I think they have to definitely play this full game. This one coming up, and the one against San Diego. Well, I'm sorry, Chargers, right? Just because you got to keep guys fresh, and you can't be scared to get guys hurt. But I do believe there's some validity in what he's saying. But maybe that last game, third quarter, if you beat them, handily, okay, start pulling guys out then. So, but I think, you don't mess with it. Don't mess with the juju, but also too, don't put guys in harm's way. Because you just have a guy who's just upset that guys are making it and do something stupid, So, what they got to lose?
That's kind of a situation where, as a head coach, you got to play it by ear. You talk to your top players. We're going into this game. We don't really need you, but we need you for the weeks coming. So we got to play this by how we play you, because we don't want to put you out there. If you get hurt, then I'm going to take the blame for it. As being the coach for throwing you out there on just some fluke play. If one of our top players goes out there and he's hurt, he can't play in the first playoff game, then we would have to risk playing without him. Andy Reid's going to have to take that. So he's got to play that by ear, talk to the players, see how they feel about, if they want to play the whole game, they play the whole game. If they don't want to play the whole game, they want to sit out for some of it. That's just as a head coach, I think you play by ear.
Yeah. I know at second year, you definitely have to do a half, at least that.
Yeah.
At least a half.
And lastly, before we end the show, the NBA season just tipped off a couple days ago. Do we have any predictions for finals this year, Eric?
Ooh, man, I could have sworn Milwaukee was going to make it last year, and they didn't make it at all. So right now, I like the Nets, but that's this. You're only one game in, so I like the Nets. And my other team, I'm not a Lakers fan because of LeBron. I'm a Lakers fan because of Kobe. I'd like to see my guy Tyronn Lue and the Clippers get there. So it's going to come down to one of those two teams. And that first game of the season with the Lakers and the Clippers doesn't really represent a whole lot because it happened last year and the Clippers ended up not making it. So out of the East, I'm just going to stick with Brooklyn. The West, it's kind of hard. Like I want to say the Clippers, but the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis is just that's a force. So we'll see how it plays out. But I got to go two of those with those two teams to see who makes it out of there. But right now, I'm going to take Brooklyn on the East.
JD?
Man, come on now. I don't see anybody but LA coming out of that. Really. LeBron and them and his squad, look, they just got a little rest, a little break. So they'll get the jail, get those guys going. But to me, they're definitely leading in the West. Now, East, because of all the talk, it's going to determine where the Beard's going to go. They talking about the Beard's supposed to be going to Philly. He go to Philly now. Oh, they're going to be a problem. I don't see them, because he go to Philly, man. That'd be a nice fit for James Harden and them. But if not, I think Boston. I think Boston might come out of there, man. To be honest with you, I just the Nets. I don't know, man. I just I got a bad taste just with Kyrie and KD, two crybabies together, and I don't know, man. They just, what I mean? They just kind of rub me the wrong way. I don't know why, Marcus. They just something about them, and of course, they all getting on Kyrie about the sage and all that. Him running down. All right. First off, this joke is a flat earther, right? He had to switch his position on there. KD, he's been crying for the past 3 years, because he's not getting his due as the number one basketball player in the world. So I don't like Brooklyn. I like the game, but I think Boston's going to come out of the East, though. Seriously.
Yeah, I'm a Sixers fan, JD. I like Ben Simmons. I hope if we do get Harden, I hope it's a trade the next 10 years of our first rounders and Tobias Harris to hopefully get Harden. I want to see the process through. That's where I've been at. We had to suffer for years with the process. So I hope we can see Embiid and Simmons. Hopefully they can mesh together this year, and hopefully Doc. I think Doc's the guy to do that. I don't know if we're going to make the finals. I think the East is wide open, but I think it's going to be. I'm going to go Clippers, Sixers, and that's a little bias on my side. I'm going to go Clippers, Sixers on my side.
But look who the Sixers got. They got Embiid, Ben Simmons. They got Maxey. They got what's it? I can't think of his name.
Seth Curry.
Seth Curry. No, the other guy from that played at Washington State. Theus or something like that. Thibault. So they got some guys, man. They got some guys. So the question is, if James Harden comes up there, what are they going to give up? But also, too, how's it going to work with Embiid? They just don't have a shooter. I mean, he's not a shooter from outside.
Yeah.
That's his only problem. But they do have what's his name is up there too, right? No, he's not.
Danny Green and Seth Curry are the two shooters in the starting five.
That's right. So they got D Green. So
yeah. So
we shall see.
Goes. Well, all right, guys. This is a great holiday episode. Nice little way to close out the week before we get into Christmas and everything else that we're going on. So we'll discuss the aftermath of the Falcons game and discuss the upcoming Chargers game, which could very well be a game where we see how good our depth is if we rest our starters. If anyone in Chiefs Kingdom has any concerns for these guys, please tweet at us at @ConcernsChief, and please subscribe and follow Chief Concerns on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I hope both of you guys have a happy and healthy holidays, guys.
Thank you, fellas.
Thanks, my brother. Appreciate it, man. All right.
Have a good one, man.